Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Lisa Natoli, and welcome to A Course in Miracle Friday morning. And I'm super excited today. That's right. That is so funny that you said that, and I'm going to tell you why afterwards. But this morning I had a whole download about this sign, and I think I'm going to have to say it now that you've just said it. It just happened, right? I'll do that in a moment. But peace, everyone. And I'm so excited. Dana Barak is in the house, and I'll more formally introduce Dana in a moment. But she's going to be sharing today on depression and her story. And she's really funny, and she's musical, and she's talented. And so I don't know where she's going to take us today, but I know it's going to be amazing. So welcome to those of you that are new here, and welcome live streamers. And we come together every Friday morning for A Course in Miracles. And Bill and I really wanted this group to be different than the past model of Course in Miracles groups, which is to talk about what the Course means and what the ideas mean. I'm going to move this a little bit. What? Oh, of course. But this one really, we felt like we wanted it to be more about joining, like not about talking about concepts and not about coming here to learn something, but to simply come together and join together, and that's it. And we wanted this to be a space of celebration, and it's been amazing for me to witness what has happened over the last 4 years since we first started this group, where in the beginning there was 5 people here, and it was just Bill and I and 3 other people, and we had to switch off. Bonnie was one, Linda Leland, Joanne. It might have actually been more than that. Joanne Westland, Al. I don't think Diane was in that first group.
Al and Diane were in.
Okay, so it was Bonnie and Linda and Joanne, and back then, Bill and I just would rotate every other week the microphone for the teaching, and we always were very clear that the Teachers of God Foundation was a Teachers of God Foundation, that it was not going to be about a central teacher, that it was going to be a space where individuals could come into the certainty and the joy of their own Christ consciousness and begin to speak from that place. And for me as a teacher, it's always been about authenticity. You know, I feel like over the years, there's been an idea that awake looks like something. And it definitely looks like something other than what your life looks like. Like I just got a message this morning from someone. She's just pouring love. Oh my God, she's so generous, and she's so just in a space of doing the work. And she wrote, "But I'm not awake yet." And that's just an idea of what awake looks like. Awake is any moment that you are connected to the love that you are, period. And from that place, you can watch when you fall back into fear. And then just bring yourself back to that center. And more consistently, you'll know when you have fallen off that space. And so that's really why I'm just so grateful that we have this space. I'm grateful to Unity on the River that we can join together. And I invite you now, we join every Friday morning in meet and greet, and we join each other in love and gratitude. And so if you could all rise and meet your neighbor, Dana. I love you.
Comedian too?
I'm Michael. I'm a
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Party, Friday morning too, right? So funny. Okay, well, everybody, come on back in. Bring it in. Ta. Yeah, Nancy, do that. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. Ta. Bong. Okay, so every Friday morning we have a reading that we do, and I'm excited that our dear friend Ketchia is back here, so come on up. Yay.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Katya. I'm doing the reading of the morning. So this reading is from the book, Plenty of Time. Yeah. Infinite time. And the reading is from for January 25th. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. This is from the Buddha, by the way. What we think, we become. I'll read it again, because we have to think about it. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What we think, we become. And at the bottom is, I guess, the question of the day. Who inspires you? You inspire me. I inspire myself. everything inspires me. The flowers, words, books, art, color, the universe, absolutely everything can be an inspiration to me. Even things that I think might not be. So what I'm being inspired to share now is there's so many things in our lives that I think we block from being an inspiration to ourselves because we judge it. And I've been so shocked at the amazing sources of inspiration for me when I let down my judgments and my fears and so on. I mean, anything can be an inspiration. So that's what comes to me this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. I love that. Yeah, and that's it. Like when you let your judgments go, everything inspires you. You recognize that everything has been around you already. And so I'm thrilled to introduce our guest this morning, Dana Marrocco. And she is someone I met last fall at a retreat in New York. And we ended up sharing a house together. We ended up, Bill and I, being put into this house. And I love how the universe rearranges things because we were supposed to be somewhere else. And at the last second, the room wasn't available for us in this other house. And we come in here and she was in the house with Vicki Thomas sharing a room. And it was just us, just the four of us in this big house together. And we spent the whole weekend. I really got a chance to know Dana. And then she stayed with us last night at our house. And it's just knowing someone's story of where they've come from and how they are now is amazing. Like, this is a transformation. And she was sharing about just how she used to be. You know, she's a small town girl from Minnesota. Mm-hmm. She went to a school that had 23 people. Was it 23?
In my graduating class.
Her graduating class had 23 people. She currently lives in New Jersey, married, 2 kids. She has a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old. She was a therapist. She moved to Los Angeles. We were talking about how we've had all these different lives. You know, like I was telling Bill the other day how my life has been these very concrete chapters. You know, where I lived in Vermont and grew up in New Hampshire and moved to Florida and moved to New York City and moved to Wisconsin and had whole sets of friends in those situations. And I was a certain way in those situations. And then you really begin to see life is moving you. And I am so grateful for A Course in Miracles because I'm sure Dana's going to share it this morning, is all the different modalities that she tried and the things that she did, and working as a therapist with children and then going to Los Angeles and having a whole life out there. And then she worked with biofeedback, and she said, as far as magic goes, that's a good one. You know, and that's, I'll bring the peace sign back. I was thinking earlier, so I've said to you all, I'm obsessed with the topic of healing. I have studied practically every healing modality, and they're all fine. Like they all do work, but true healing brings you back to the remembrance of who you really are as spirit. And I was thinking about the masters of the Far East, and I was thinking about mudras. So mudras are hand formations. And I was suddenly this morning, and this is one of the powerful ones for you to remember who you really are. Like when you can, but I was thinking, like, if you make a peace sign, you're in that, but it has nothing to do with the hand formation. It's in the doing it that you can remember your energy field and you can remember the love that you are. Does that make any sense? Mm-hmm. And so Dana was just telling me about biofeedback and, you know, testing your energy field and finding the blockages, and it was working, but something deep inside each and every one of us knows when there's more for you. It's like you can get stuck at the body level, or you can take it to a whole other level and you can go all the way. And life is so generous that it does put people in your pathway. And so 6 years ago is when you found the Course in Miracles, or you came back to it. I think somebody had said the Course in Miracles, and she decided to have a look at it. And that's when a much larger transformation started to happen. And I was thinking about that on the way down here this morning when I was driving. Like, I receive a lot of letters from people who say, well, it's easy for you, Lisa, you're just happy. Or you have money. And I think, oh my God, like my whole lifetime was alcoholism, depression, conflict, self-sabotage, no money. Even when I had money working in New York City, it was paycheck to paycheck. I got paid once a month, and the last week of every month I had no money. No, I would go around my house looking for coins. And I remember at the beginning of every month, for all those years, I would buy my subway card. So at least I knew I could get to work in that last week. But that was my life. I self-sabotage with food. I constantly looking for self-help, for a way to come to inner peace. And it's in doing the work that all of those things start to fall away. And that's when you remember that what you were looking for was there the whole time. And so now my consistent state is happiness. I do live in a state of generosity, and it did not happen overnight. And that's why I love coming together like this, that people can remember that. Like, it really is just a total commitment to living in a new way. And so it is, and one more announcement for tomorrow is Dana is teaching tomorrow at Vicky's house and through Open Doors. So it's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a suggested donation of $35. What?
With lunch.
Lunch is included in that. So a $35 suggested donation. And is anybody going yet? Oh, good. So you can see Dana, or you can go on your website at drdanamorocco.com.
We'll put that on the chat.
And we're going to put that on the chat room. And Dana has this awesome, great book called The 10 Top Lies We Tell Ourselves and How to Stop Living Them. And she just published this last year. And how much is it? If people can buy them today?
$20.
$20, so you can purchase a copy today. She also she's a beautiful musician, and she's going to sing a few songs for us today. She didn't bring any of her music today, but you can find her on her website and find her music. And so give a warm welcome to Dana Morocco.
Wow, I think that introduction said it all. So thank you. Bye. No, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy that all of you are here to join with me in person and online. Hello. So I'd like to start by just sharing a gift that I was born with. No need to be jealous, though. And it might actually, some of you might have the same gift. It's the gift of feeling dead inside. I used to see it as a curse. It was the curse of depression. And I really, when I was in the throes of it, felt like there was going to be no way out of it. I thought this was just my fate, and I was going to have to just do the best I could, march along with depression right alongside me. I was raised in the Catholic Church, and that wasn't really helping me lift my spirits. But I remember as a child, I was just so curious about how the mind worked, and why do people do the things that they do, and why do I do the things that they do? I just wanted to figure it out, but I wanted to study it as a scientist. I was sure that spirituality would have nothing whatsoever to do with it in this, a breakthrough I imagined having. If I could just learn the right theories of mind, that was what I was after. So I did study psychology right up to the highest expert level, the PhD, and I got to the end and I'm like, that's it. Like, there was a lot there, and it was helping me, and I was in therapy, that was helping, but it just wasn't the cure that I imagined it was going to be. So I did work as a therapist, though, with children for a number of years, and then when I got married and had my own children, I decided to stay at home with them, and that was when my depression actually hit its peak. I had postpartum depression with both of my children, and that's when I finally came to a point of surrender and brought in the spiritual side, which made all the difference. But before I leave the depression and get to the joy beyond it, because there is a happy ending for all of us, I just want to share a little bit, just because it is important to just sit with it and look at the feelings. So I just want to read just the first paragraph from my book, where I just talk about what it felt like to be in that state, consumed by it. Depression has a taste. Its bitterness will not leave your mouth, no matter how many times you try to swallow it. Depression has a smell. Its rancidness saturates every breath you inhale. Depression has a sound. Its piercing shriek is so deafening that lips are moving all around you, but you can't make out a word. Depression has a look. Its searing glare is reflected in eyes that only send daggers your way. And depression has a feel. Its bone-chilling frost is like an anesthesia that never wears off. Yeah, so there's that. And then there's the, how do you get out of that? And so for me, I finally did reach a point of surrender, and I even remember exactly where I was in my living room in New Jersey, just pretty much balled up on the couch, and I cried for help in my mind. And I remember the exact conversation I had. It was like, okay, if there's a higher power, which I know there probably isn't, can you save me? Which I know you probably won't, but you're gonna have to do all the work, because I can't get myself to you. I'm in no position to do anything. That was my plea for help. But even that little willingness was enough just to get the ball rolling. And like Lisa said, it wasn't like an instant, transformation, although I think it could be if we really let our resistance down immediately, which we can. But for most people, and for me, it was just a gradual undoing. And it started with yoga classes. I just wanted to I was still body focused, definitely. I wanted to just get my body back in shape after having the kids. So I went to yoga classes, and then there was this meditation piece, and I really wasn't expecting to connect with that at all, but that was helping me a lot. So I ended up teaching yoga for that reason, for the meditation was my favorite part, until the studio where I was working at got destroyed by Hurricane Sandy. So I thought, okay, there's little signs and there's big signs that maybe you should be doing something else. And that's when I found the energy healing, biofeedback that Lisa mentioned, and I ran a business doing that for a short time, and that was helpful too. Each step was incremental, I think, in preparing me and helping others along the way. And I went to a conference on biofeedback in Mexico, and I met this other colleague, David Cowan, may he rest in peace. And he just happened to mention, he said, well, have you heard of the book, A Course in Miracles? And I said, well, yeah, I have it, but it's just on my shelf. Don't really plan on reading it. Someone told me it was just a book of daily affirmations. But I was turned off by the Christian language, because I figured, I've been there, done that. So it was collecting dust. And then he told me, well, did you know that it's about blah, blah, blah? And he gave me a 30-second description. And I wish I could remember exactly what he said, but my mind was literally blown. First I was like, wow, that sounds crazy. And wow, I know that's true. And I remember from that moment, it was just, this is my path. I'm so grateful I found it, because I had tried so many different things and tried to combine them all, because I wanted my own path. Again, you can hear ego, right? I didn't want to just follow someone else's path. I wanted to make my own combination of the perfect elements to bring about healing. But the Course, I can honestly say that the Course healed my depression from the very cause of it. And one of the biggest mistakes I realized that I was making was confusing internal and external. Like, I thought my external self was what I presented to the world through all the different roles I played. But I thought my internal self, my private thoughts of self-hatred, I thought that was the real me. And then I realized from the Course that my private thoughts of self-hatred are just as external to me as everything else I think I am. Like, I'm none of this separateness, this creation that I made on my own apart from God. Like, that doesn't reflect who I am at all. So that was a big transformation in how I looked at it all. So I am to the point now where I think I can see my depression as a gift. Because when I was in the midst of it, I was seeing the ego very, very clearly for what the ego was. There was no masking it, no veiling it. I could see that the ego had nothing to offer me, this fear part of my mind. So I think that made it easier for me to say, I want no more of this. Like, I have to decide for something else entirely. And with the course, we have the replacement. It's one thing just to say, I don't want this, but to have the replacement makes all the difference, right? Okay, so that's what inspired me to write the book, just to share my journey. And so I wanted to dive deep into this concept of self-deception and how we fool ourselves. And the book, The Top 10 Lies We Tell Ourselves, this was actually just a Facebook post I did. I thought it would be funny just to channel David Letterman and just be like, what if the ego was on that stage and we could roast the ego, like the ego had to confess what it was really up to, what would be the top 10 lies. So I just did it as a Facebook post and people really liked it. And then when I got an agent later, I had a different idea for the book that was maybe more scholarly, because that's kind of what I gravitate towards. And he was like, I think you should use that Facebook post and just turn that into your book. I'm like, all right, why not? So I'm going to read you the top 10 lies now. They are meant to be shared. I'm not going to withhold any. And first, the spoiler alert is that there really is just one lie, right? To overcome the lie of separation, that we could ever be separate from each other and separate from our source. But here are 10 more that you might think sound familiar. So number 10, nothing is more important than being right. And of course, you always are. Number 9, there's not enough of anything to go around, so take your share by any means possible. Number 8, chaos is business as usual, so get used to it. Number 7, there is someone out there who can finally complete you, so never stop searching. Number 6, you must find a way to be truly unique or better than others, because you are. Number 5, you must attack first and often or risk being defeated. Number 4, the person who can hold a grudge the longest wins, so hang on tight. Number 3, reacting out of fear comes naturally, so just stick with what you know. Number 2, love is a sign of weakness and can really mess with your head, so just avoid it at all costs. And number 1, you can't count on anyone but yourself, and by the way, you're a huge disappointment. I'm glad you're laughing, and that is the point, to laugh at how we could ever believe this insanity, right? And the other shocking piece to me is that it operates the same way in all of us. There's just that commonality where we can join together in looking at it, and then join together on the other side of just laughing at it eventually. So I do want to share just quickly an experience I had before the book was released last August. So a couple of months before it was coming out, I developed this awful red skin rash, and I had never had a problem with my skin before. So I was like, what is this about? I went to the dermatologist, and it was rosacea, and I was thinking, you can just get this at any time. And the doctor's like, yeah, just use this cream, it'll be fine. So I tried the cream, and it wasn't really helping. And then I had the thought to look in Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, that index in the back. So I looked up, rosacea wasn't in there, but face was in there. And it said, afraid of being seen. I'm like, oh, this is all about releasing the book. Because as you can tell, even from the first paragraph, I share some pretty deep stuff. Most people in my life didn't even know that I had ever struggled with depression. I just kept that, apart from everyone. So my intention for this talk is just that we can all give up that fear of being seen and just see each other, just without any defenses or trying to be something that we're not. And so where I used to follow a path of suffering, I try to follow a path of joy now. And before doing this, which I never thought I would be doing, I wanted to either be a singer, actress, or stand-up comedian. So I thought, why can't I still do those things, right? We don't have to sacrifice anything, do we, in this journey? So I'll be bringing in some props and singing a few jingles here in a minute. But first, I just wanted to talk more about how the mind works. And so, look at that later. So you've probably heard of the iceberg analogy of the mind, right? So if this table, if the surface of this table was the surface of water, the tip of the iceberg would be the thoughts that we're aware of having. And then underneath the surface, the much larger piece is what we keep hidden from ourselves, right? The unconscious mind. So where I think the Course is unique compared to other spiritual disciplines is that it tells you very precisely what's under there, unconscious guilt. And I remember the first time I heard that, I'm like, wow, having a label for it does kind of help you. It helped me understand too, with the unconscious mind, that for one, what I keep hidden from myself, I'm going to need help removing. So there's that piece of, surrendering, of course. But it helped me understand too, like why I wasn't always seeing the progress that I thought I should be seeing, because it seemed like I was doing all the right things. And I think you might relate to this. So we have our daily affirmations, right? Where, again, with your conscious thoughts, you might be saying, I only want to experience peace. But then down here, it's, no, you don't. No, I only want to experience joy. No, you don't. I only want to experience love. No, you don't. So you've got like these hidden affirmations that are, like Elisa said, sabotaging you. And that's the part that we do need to look at. It doesn't help to just deny them. Although I think you can just affirm, and get rid of a lot. But I think it's a quicker path to just look at what's down there. And we're afraid to do that. But I think that is what the Course suggests. In fact, it says that it is guilt that has driven you insane, right? So with my psychology degree, when I started studying the Course, I'm like, where I was on a path of learning, now I'm on a path of unlearning. For a while, I was thinking, wow, did I really waste all of those 10 years of college? Was that all wasted? But I integrate a lot of it in my teaching and in the book. So I'm going to share one theory that I think correlates well to this. And it's Dr. Thomas Harris. He has a theory called transactional analysis. And it just simply states that the way we view others is reflective of our understandings or our misunderstandings of ourself, which sounds a lot like the Course, really, because our forgiveness lessons are all done through our relationships, right? So in his book, which was popular in the 60s, he had a self-help book called I'm Okay, You're Okay. So you might have heard of it. So that is actually the only desirable state, is to come to the realization that I'm okay, you're okay, which sounds like a kindergarten class, but we do kind of have to go back to the basics of things to see where we went wrong. So in Course terms, you could substitute innocent. I'm innocent, you're innocent. That's Christ's vision, right? So I kind of saw the parallel there with this theory. So just to tell you the other 3 states in that book from the 60s. So one state is called I'm okay, you're not okay. And that would actually be, if taken to this extreme, that would be the mindset of someone who's homicidal, who really believes I'm okay, all of you are the problem, the enemy, and need to be stopped by whatever means. Sometimes I think it can just help you become more compassionate, just to understand how someone could ever think like that. That would be an extreme example. But most people probably fall under, or a lot of people fall under the state of I'm not okay, you're not okay. It's kind of like, well, we're all messed up, the world's messed up, what can you do? There's no hope, this is just the way it is. And then there's the 4th state is I'm not okay, you're okay. And that would be the mindset of someone who's suicidal, that really believes that everyone else would be better off without me. I'm the defective one. I need to end myself, as sad as that is. So again, I see parallels with the Course in that, in the concept of projection. So we don't want to look at our guilt because it doesn't feel good. We're ashamed of it. So we bury it down. And we know from Freud in the Course that what we project, what we suppress, we project. So that's why I brought the broom. It's a BYOB party. Bring your own broom? You didn't bring one? Okay.
Always. I was never broom. Right, Bill?
Right. So I'll do a little demonstration of kind of the stages of projection. So if the ego has its way with you, you're going to project all of your guilt outward. So you're just going to constantly be doing this motion. It's not me, it's you. It's this group over here. It's that group. It's you. None of this has to do, you're the problem, right? And there is an element, there's some false peace that can be attained from this by projecting all your guilt away from yourself, because it feels good. You don't claim any for yourself, but isolation is the result, right? So the next stage would be, where most of us fall, which would be, accepting some blame. Okay, this one's on me, but not this one. You know what you did. This one's on you. Right. And here, there is an element of joining, but for the wrong reason. It's kind of the mentality of, well, your hands are just as dirty as mine. Right, so you can't get very far with that either. So eventually, though, we do come to see that we are the source of our own suffering, right? Oh, it's all on me. It's all on me. It's all my fault. And this is a very delicate stage, and you don't want to be here long. And this is when you definitely need to invite Holy Spirit or Jesus or love by your side to help you reinterpret this. And the message that you'll get is that you are correct in identifying yourself as the source of your suffering, but only in the sense that you're a part of the one mind that imagined it, right? And we are just imagining that it's possible to be guilty because innocence is our birthright and innocence is what we are. Okay. So one more point before I put the broom down. So again, just to illustrate the difference between our conscious guilt and our unconscious guilt, there was a popular commercial, I think it was in the 70s, where they showed an egg and said, this is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. They showed the egg sizzling in the pan. So this is your conscious guilt. This is the guilt you're aware of. Oh, there's a mess here. Let me get this. This one's on me. This one's you. Okay, hold on. But this is your unconscious guilt. Like for real, the Course says don't underestimate how fearful. The depth of that fear is very deep and can seem very real if you let the ego keep you there. So, done with that. So let's talk about the fear piece. The fear-soaked part of our mind is the ego. And so with the ego, this is literally how you go about your day. Hi, I'm Dana. I'm just so glad to be here and meet all of you and just share the love. I'm just so happy. Right? We just automatically come with this barrier, these defenses, this protection. I don't trust you. You're out to get me. And you know what I'm saying. And so the motto of the ego is really, for fear is a jolly good fellow, for fear is a jolly good fellow, for fear is a jolly good fellow, it's love that we deny. Which sounds insane, right? To deny the love that we are, but that is in fact what we're so afraid of is love. Okay, so just another point where I think the Course is so precise in its language, the way that it answers questions that I thought were unanswerable, like where our fear comes from. And the way I like to practice it is just to relate it to a fear that I'm feeling now, and then just trace it back to where it came from. So a fear I have now is one we all share with the ego, is of being abandoned, right? So I'm married, I have young children, so my fear is, what if my husband just goes on that business trip and never comes back? Like, that would be a present fear. Back to, if I want to trace that back to an inner child fear, I remember being afraid that my parents would just leave. I mean, it happens, right? I know people that went through that. What if my parents just leave me? But then beyond the inner child fear is the inner child of God fear, where we feel that God abandoned us. But even below that, we fear that we were the ones that separated from God. We destroyed perfect oneness, and we deserve to pay for it. That's why a lot of what we see in the world is so harsh and vicious, right? So it does help to trace it back to the origin. And this reminds me of a story that involves my daughter. I think when she was about 6 years old, we were just having well, actually, she was in trouble for something. I can't remember what it was, something minor. But I took her stuffed animals away. That was her most prized possession. So I took them away for a time period as a punishment. And she was very angry, and she was yelling, and she said, I'm mad. I said, I can see that. I said, are you mad that, you mad at me for taking your things away? And she said, no. So I thought, oh, is she gaining insight that maybe she played a role in this? Is she mad at herself? So I said, are you mad at yourself? And she said, no. She said, I'm mad at God, and I don't want to be. I don't want to be mad at God, but I am. And she said that at 6, just out of the blue. I was just like, so I said, we don't talk about God that way. Go to your room. No, I didn't say that. But I was just really blown away by the insight, because I do share bits and pieces of the Course with my kids, but I don't really talk about fearing God. But I did affirm what she was feeling, just saying that I think we all secretly are afraid of God. Yeah, that she was just able to pick up on that, again, from that unconscious mind, since we do just share one mind. So, just as a practice then, what do we do about this while we're, seemingly here in the world, in our bodies, in this dreamlike state? Like, how do we practice this? How do we work through it on a daily basis? So the practice is just to watch your thoughts, right? Observe your thoughts, let them pass, don't attach to them, don't judge them. And if you're doing this, it's kind of a given that you've already invited guidance to help you, a loving voice to help you, whether you call that the Holy Spirit or Jesus or something else. So you practice letting them go, but that's not so easy, is it? Especially when it comes to attack thoughts. So what's helpful for me is just to realize kind of the dynamics of it at play. So if these blocks are attack thoughts, again, the practice is just to let them pass and not attach. So I'll just give an example. So here's an attack thought directed at my husband. So I told him to stop at Costco on his way home from work and get that chicken roaster for dinner, and he just didn't do it. He just didn't do it. So that's an attack thought. I could just let that go, but just watch your mind and see how, just kind of feel that pull of the ego. What the ego wants you to do is to have another attack thought just like it immediately after and build something out of it. So the ego will be like, oh, so I guess he didn't think about you all day then if you forgot the chicken roaster. And remember that time 10 years ago when you forgot your birthday? And then, is this just how it's going to be now? We're just going through the motions, and, we're in this loveless marriage, and there's going to be no way out of prison. And but the ego's, having its way with you, right? And it just keeps going until it literally gets you to build a structure out of nothing. And then it wants you to literally like hide behind it. And this is a barrier I put between myself and love. It's just something I try to be mindful of when I'm doing the thought watching. So again, the alternative is to invite Spirit to watch your thoughts with you and to have none that you would keep and hide and cherish, right? Just to let them all pass without labels. And the piece that is also helpful for me is that if I'm having a thought or an experience that I feel is unpleasant, just to tell myself that this is perfectly planned for my healing, where the ego had experiences planned with the goal of having me hide, like Holy Spirit plans experiences for me that can bring about healing that may not always make sense to me at the time, but it's always, I can trust. Trust is a big piece. Trust that it's going to be for the greatest benefit to everyone involved, even people that I might not know are involved, right? So it all comes down to choosing the right teacher, right? We can choose the teacher of fear, the ego, or choose the teacher of love, the Holy Spirit. So I have a little, just some tips to help you. If the messages you're hearing are harsh, you might be listening to ego. If the message you're hearing is urgent, you might be listening to ego. If the message you're hearing involves a story and the details of that story are very important, that might be ego. And if the message you're hearing hinges on a change to something external, that might be a tip that it's ego as well. Or if you're not getting any messages at all, that's definitely just ego trying to block it. So the alternative then is to follow Holy Spirit, which is like having an easy button. Like I could make this difficult, or I could just ask for help. And when I ask, it's always given, right? The easy path. So one of the things I like to do with my music now is to rewrite popular songs. So this one is the Eagles' Take It Easy. But I just change it up to make it a little more course friendly. So take it easy, take it easy. Don't let the sound of your own ego drive you crazy. Lighten up, you know you can. Follow the Holy Spirit's plan. Within your mind you choose again. And take it easy. So, thanks. Thank you. I have a little bit of a cold, so don't judge me on my singing. But my desire to communicate is stronger, so I'm just going to do it anyway. So another practice that we're told from the Course is to view things from above the battleground, right? Just to get a panoramic view of the entire projection. Well, the universe is the entire projection, but this is what we're most familiar with, right? Our world and our place in it. So what's the view from above the battleground is just, again, with love by your side, just looking at all of it, relaxing, trusting, and forgiving, right? Ultimately forgiving the world for what never happened and forgiving yourself for desperately wanting to make it seem real. So what is the purpose of the world? If you ask the ego doesn't want you to know what it's up to, right? So the ego will just distract you. Look here, try this, try that. But that doesn't get you very far. But the Holy Spirit knows that we've used the world to hide, but we can use it to heal instead, right? So what does the world need from you? Well, it doesn't need your retaliation and anger, like, how could you do this to me? How could you do this? I suffered and sacrificed for you because I thought you were giving me gifts. But everything you gave to me, you took away. And I don't understand why, because I take care of you. I recycle. But again, the purpose is to detach from that and look at it with love and heal it, to understand it. Understand that it came from a choice for fear and that another choice can be made. So this makes me want to sing Country Roads by John Denver. Instead, it's Forgiveness Road. Forgiveness Road, take me home to the place I belong. The more I learn here, the more I let go. Take me home, Forgiveness Road. Thank you.
And then the next line is, I hear a voice.
Yeah, should I sing that part?
I hear a
I hear a voice in the morning, spirit calls me. The message that I hear now is that home's not far away. But walking down this road, I get a feeling that I could have been home yesterday. But how about today? Sing it with me. Forgiveness Road, take me home to the place I belong. The more I learn here, the more I let go. Take me home, Forgiveness Road. Thank you. Fun. So another practice that is helpful for me is just the idea of sameness, right? That we're supposed to, that's Holy Spirit's vision, is to see everything as the same, that we're in this together, we got into it the same way, we'll get out of it the same way. We heal together or not at all. So it allows you to give up judgment, and judgment always gets in the way of your progress. So if sameness had a shape or a form, I think of it as a blanket, right? And this is just my travel size blanket. But it's from my daughter's Barbie house. But it's bringing the idea of sameness to the world, and just the idea that we can be a comfort to others. And if we see each other as fearful, which we are, you can automatically bring forth the compassion that you need to respond appropriately, right? Even if someone comes at you in anger and attack, you can see the fear behind that and offer that comfort. So this makes me want to sing Carly Simon's You're So Vain. Instead, it's all the same. You'll learn this one quick too, so we'll do it twice. It's all the same. The ego makes each moment seem different, but it's all the same. We really want each moment different, don't we, don't we, don't we? So again, it's all the same. The ego wants each moment different, but it's all the same. We really want each moment different, don't we, don't we, don't we? Again, because if each moment's different, then we're literally separating each moment. We don't ever want to join the ego doesn't want to join anything ever. That's the last thing it will ever do. But we can just do it anyway, right? All right. So the point then is to, think of our lives here as almost like a dream, right? A dream that we had apart from God and that we will awaken from it together. But it doesn't have to be a nightmare, right? If you let go of the ego, it can turn into a happy dream. And that makes me want to sing. This one was a tip from a friend, Jack O'Neill. He said, instead of the Rolling Stones, I can't get no satisfaction, you could say, I can't dream no satisfaction. I'm like, oh, I like that. So we can do that a couple times. I can't dream no satisfaction. I can't dream no satisfaction, but I try, and I try, and I try, and I try. I can't dream no satisfaction. Hey, hey, hey.
Walking down the street beside myself and no.
Perfect, perfect. No, the dream will never completely satisfy us. Okay. So I do enjoy following this path of making it fun. And I remember when I first kind of made this shift, back when I was heavier into meditation. I don't meditate in the traditional way as much anymore, but when I used to, I had this experience that was like no other. My routine was to do it before bed, so I was alone meditating, and it happened to be right around the time that Robin Williams passed. And so I kind of was thinking about him in the meditation, and then I got the feeling that he had a message for me. So of course I wasn't going to turn down finding out, what that was. And I'd always been a fan of his work. In fact, I remember when I was teaching graduate school, there was one day when I just didn't know what to teach, and so I literally had the class watch Dead Poet Society because it's such a good example of the teacher-student relationship. But of course, I thought he was gifted and funny and all of those things, and was sad about the way that he ended his own life. So in meditation, I had the feeling he wanted to tell me something, so I just said, "What is it?" And he said, "Will you help people understand what depression really is?" And I said, "Yes, but only if you help me make it fun." And he said, "Sure." And so my routine then was to go right to bed, and usually that would be relaxing, but instead that night I was just like pins and needles tingling, like fireworks inside, like a over-caffeinated college student. And I just had all these ideas for like a one-woman show on Broadway with like props and songs, some of which I just did for you now. But that went on for like an hour or more, and I'm like, "Okay, Robin, I need to go to sleep now." And then it was just like a light switch, and it just went off. But yeah, it was an experience I'll never forget. And I don't tell it to you in a way of, not in a way of specialness that I'm, it's special, but because all minds are joined, it really means everyone from all time periods, living or past. So we can really access each other's inspiration at any time. I don't know if any of you saw the documentary about him that was on HBO. I think it was 2 years ago now, Come Inside My Mind. So I wrote down one quote from Robin that they revealed in that movie. Robin said, "If you just don't interfere with yourself, you're quite interesting." And the interfere is a word that jumps out at me, just to stop interfering with yourself. And then he said, to do this, you have to relax and listen. So that sounds like a good practice for all of us. So as a takeaway, I thought it would be a good idea, and this is in my book too, about just repurposing the word fear as an acronym, FEAR, as a way to, as a practice, daily practice. So the F in fear is now forgive, which is just simply forgive yourself for losing your peace. So as soon as you notice, okay, I've lost my peace in this moment, that's the F, forgive. And then the E is to exit the ego. So just know that voice is going to come in loud and strong, that's going to advise you poorly. And you've been there, done that. So you don't have to fight against it, but you just choose to wait for the next messenger, which is A, accept spirit or the loving voice, which will guide you. And then R is just to realize that really love was your only option all along, right? We only imagined that there was other choices when there's really only one between fear and love. And even that one's really made for you because only one of those is real. So that's what helps bring about what can be moments of just deep relaxation and peace and feeling continuous. Like nothing you have can be taken away from you. Completely continuous. And then before I do a little exercise, I'm just going to also quote Gabby Bernstein. I follow her work. And she, in one of her books, it used to be her latest book, but she writes so many. It's the one called The Universe Has Your Back. She talked about a comeback rate, which I loved that concept. She says, our happiness is a direct reflection of how quickly we can restore fear back to love. How quickly can you make that transformation happen? And that can be your measure of progress along the path. So a grievance that used to just haunt you for years or decades, maybe when it comes up now, you can just, maybe it's just a few moments or minutes or even hours, but that's progress, right? Because sometimes it can be hard to know, am I getting it? Like, is this working? Right? We all fall into that trap. So, but because love is our eventual landing site, we can rest in the truth that we can't really get it wrong. So I thought it would be fun just to share, if you just want to reflect, do you think your comeback rate is quickening? How do you know? What does that feel like when you really feel like you're making progress with your forgiveness lessons? How does that show up for you? If anyone wants to raise their hand, or if anyone's typing in. Bill, yeah. Sure.
You want me to stand up there?
I love that question. I think it's just a pause for a quick check-in on that question. And for me, it's content, peace. It's just nothing going on, just happy, just being right here, doing nothing, and being very, very present with it. But that presence, there's something that goes with the presence that I can't really put my finger on, but it has a like a flavor to it so peace isn't just like nothing, like boring. It has a quality to it. And pardon me?
Right.
Yeah, it has a flavor. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Who else?
Go ahead, yeah.
Linda?
Oh yeah, I'm done with that. Notes.
So I appreciated what you said about that suicide thing, because I related. What was it? Something about, what'd you say? I think
The mindset is that I'm not okay, but everyone else is. You'd be
Yeah,
all be
yeah,
better
yeah,
off
that
without
one.
me. Yeah.
Right. So, well, I think I had a breakthrough last night with the depression. I think because my son was quitting school, and we went to school, and the assistant principal said, "I think you're depressed. You should see a therapist." He won't. And so it's all about, I was like, it's about the game. He wants that game, and I'm trying to discipline, which I haven't been able to do, because anyway, so the point was I tried to take it away, right? And I hid it, and the game and the iPad and the phone. I was good. I had it all. And so then I'm gone for the day, and he didn't go to school, because he went to school and then he decided not to go to school because he didn't get it. So, this life is a game, right? He's playing this game on me with us. We're together. So last night he found it, because I went looking for it. It wasn't there. So I was like, okay, now we're going to start all over. But later on, he's like, okay, so he wanted to have the same thing that he had before, which was total access to the game and go to school. And then, he was not doing well, He's brilliant, but he's not doing well. So, but I said, this is like a crapshoot, I give you back whatever you wanted before. And so I said, okay. And I think he changed. I just got this feeling that he's motivated or something. Something happened, a switch, It's not something I did or anything. It's just in the air. So I'm hoping, and he said, can you help me? Right? Like, can I really be a mother? Like, he's asking for help before he had an attitude. Like, I had to, time to get up, get out of my room. It was really hard.
Right.
Yeah, but you never know. In the middle of it, if
Right.
you're in depression, is this the day I'm going to get better?
Right.
It's,
Right.
so, thanks for it. I think you were like scientific and Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like,
Right.
how to think that all in, I want to, you're very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
So your question is, how does that show up for me?
Right.
in the pause, which is huge, which I had to learn in AA, and also in here, it brought me to that whole nother level, like you said. Anything that I've learned, the Course in Miracles has brought me even higher. And that I loved when you said you can't get it wrong and you never get it done. Those are Abraham Hicks words. And they also have brought me to a whole nother level. So it's in the pause, and it sounds comical, but it's so true. It's not pause and reload. It's pause, it's not pause and reload. It's pause and let that voice of the Spirit come in. And I like that, like you said, different words, because I really do not like biblical things and anything that has to do with religion. So I'll change Holy Spirit to Spirit. I'll change Christ mind to light, holiness to light, whatever's going to make me, I love that you said that, whatever's going to make you understand that we are this light, and that's what our job is. And so pausing, not reloading, and also shutting my cake hole, shutting my mouth is the hugest lesson that I've learned through all of this, because if I can pause and shut my mouth, it gives me a moment to be able to come back with love instead of come back with attack. So you were awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
It was great to hear you. And so I totally agree. My experience is the same as Bill's, and my experience is the same as Laura's. That when that happens, I feel at peace. But this is a little side issue around your teaching. I was so excited. I'm 73, and I fell in love with transactional analysis when it was new, and I studied it, and I'm trained in it. Okay.
Oh, awesome.
And that you're talking about it, and you're so young. It's like, yes,
Keep
love
it going.
it. Keep it going, girlfriend. Great job. Love it. So thank you for your sharing. And you know what else I want to thank you for? I want to thank you for your courage to stand up and to be a teacher. Because coming from the PhD background, this stuff is airy-fairy for you to be talking about, right? So this has taken a whole lot of courage for you to stand in your truth like this.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Would you mind going up front? I can't get the camera on your back. Thank you.
No, I would mind. I would mind.
Oh.
But you will.
I actually don't have an answer to that question because I am not perfect in my coursework, but I just wanted to say thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed what you had to say. And I wondered if you had ever heard of the podcast, The Hilarious World of Depression.
No.
It's
Sounds
amazing.
Like I would like it. Yeah.
It's amazing. And I was just listening to it on the way here. And it does turn the whole thing into a comic scene. So I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
That's it.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
David,
David,
go on up there.
Oh, this is not going to get.
I couldn't get Irene in.
Oh.
It was too much.
This is not going to be a soliloquy. I was going to say, keep up with the. There's a lot of people that do funny things with songwriting and songwriters. Like a whole string of the codependent love songs. I love you changing and using Course in Miracle lyrics for these old songs. So you got me thinking, because I'm pretty good at that stuff. So you've inspired me. Thank you.
Good. What I'd like to do, I have a few more minutes, right? What I'd like to do is, since we started with the 10 lies, let's replace that with 10 truths. So in my book, each chapter is one of the lies, and at the end of it is a 24-hour challenge where you kind of flip the script on that lie and practice it. And I kind of joke around just saying, for 24 hours and 24 hours only, can you do this? Just acknowledging that it's not always easy. But so if we could just kind of close on this, you could do it as a meditation and close your eyes, but you don't have to.
You have 10 minutes.
Okay. So I'm just going to read through, flipping the script from the 10 lies to 10 truths about who we are. And it's all about affirming our willingness to understand above anything else. Number 10, I'm willing to believe I might be wrong about absolutely everything. Number 9, I'm willing to believe I could never run out of anything that matters. Number 8, I'm willing to believe I'm always getting what I want, for better or worse. Number 7, I'm willing to believe that sacrifice plays no part in love. Number 6, I'm willing to believe that we are all exactly the same. Number 5, I'm willing to believe we are all completely innocent. Number 4, I'm willing to believe that I can let go of anything that was done to me or that I have done. Number 3, I'm willing to believe that my power is unlimited and extends beyond what I can see. Number 2, I'm willing to believe that extending love is effortless. And number 1, I'm willing to believe that peace is constant. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I have a weekly radio show on ACIM Gather Wednesday mornings, and I always end with my cowbell send-off, just to remind us to get more cowbell out of life, like, right? It's like a symbol of joy. Get on it. Right. That's all I had planned. Is there any other? Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Dana. That was awesome, and we really appreciate it. You know, Dana drove from New Jersey to share with us today, and she's going to be at Vicki Thomas's tomorrow for the workshop that we talked about. And I want to do something different here today that we've never done before. But I got a hit to pass a basket, and we're going to leave Dana with what we put in the basket. So we're going to do that in just a minute, and you guys just whatever your nudge is to do that, we're going to share just some gratitude of generosity in that way. And do you have anything that you want to add to that?
No.
Would you just close? I'll grab the baskets and then we'll.
I just want to thank you so much. I've seen you before, and this was a totally different routine. And I like the visual element of it very much. Right. I mean, there was so much like the building blocks things I think is hilarious. Like so often I think about that mask, but when you actually put it in front of you like that, like to really see that is what we've been doing.
Right.
Like that's what we've been hiding against. And I think I also want to just say, if anybody would like to ask a question to Dana, like this is the time and there is still some minutes left here. But to me, the most important, you said many important things today, but I loved that you got it, the specifics of talking about depression and that Robin Williams, that you asked for it to be play and fun. Like that, to me, that is so important, because I think often in the spiritual transformation work, we just think I'm going to go to the mountaintop and I'm just going to be some happy person. And I think each one of us has a particular assignment to bring it into the specifics, because now you're not attached to it anymore. Now you can help people who are depressed. And this was my problem for years, is I got into the trap of there is no world, there is no people, there's nothing to do. I just need to stay happy. And people would come to me with their questions about sickness and their difficulties, and I would throw back some spiritual concepts. But when you're actually present and you recognize this brother is me,
Right.
like I'm helping myself, I'm not just going to tell myself, snap out of it. Like
Right.
you're actually going to be with another. And I think
Right.
the play element is important. So I really want to thank you for that. And I love that we're passing a basket. Like I love that we're going to send Dana home with
Oh,
money. Like
thank
please give generously, whatever you were going to give double. and that's how we should be living our lives.
Right.
You know. So does anyone have a question for Dana or want to share anything?
The only thing I thought that she's going to be at Vicky's tomorrow.
Yeah, so
tell the time.
yep. So she's going to.
Very generous. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank
So she's going to be tomorrow at Quincy, Mass. from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Lunch is included. For those of you who have ever been down there at an open doors event, it's just an incredible space, and you're just going to meet a lot of the Boston community. And
Should be
I
fun.
love you.
Yes. Oh,
anyone want to share anything?
I just have a question about your radio show.
Yes.
Are we able to access it?
yes. It's
Great.
ACIM Gather.
Radio show. I'm just
Can you
curious.
repeat what she said?
Yes, I can.
Oh, sorry.
My radio show, I'm on live every Wednesday morning from 9:30 to 10 a.m. on acimgather.com. You can get the instructions. It's actually programming every day from different teachers. That's just my time slot. And sometimes it's recorded and I share it on my Facebook as well. But yes, please join me and the other teachers. Thanks.
Quieter, that's all. Anyone have anyone?
Oh, behind you, Lisa. Behind you.
I just thank you. I'd just like to say thank you, Dana, for not just for your message, but for how you delivered it, for an inspiration that our gifts we can use our gifts, and we can all be teachers, but it doesn't have to look all the same.
Right. Sure.
The message can be the same, but I found it very inspiring that
Thank
you
you.
used your gifts, the variety is lovely. Thank you.
Thanks.
I have a very quick question. Thank you again for all that you shared. And I'm curious, with your paths and the eventual Course in Miracles, have you felt like your depression is completely cleared?
I'm still aware of it.
Yeah.
I still observe it in
Yeah.
my thoughts and just the way I view the world, but I just don't take it seriously. There's just a little bit of, I guess, detachment, like, oh, there you go again. Like,
Yeah.
you know where that leads. Like, it has become like a playful practice to just kind of, and when I can be playful about it, then I know I'm making progress. Of course, there's moments when I can't be, and then I take it serious, but it's like the comeback rate. I can get out of it much sooner.
That's great.
And I have hope to the depths of, I didn't even think there was possible to have as much hope as I have.
That's wonderful.
So that's the
Thank
good
you.
news.
And thank
Yeah.
you for the whole presentation.
Oh.
It was really great.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to say the online community, love streamers, love your presentation and want to say thank you. And they have a lot of
Thank you.
nice things to say, and they think that you need to keep presenting what you're
All right.
doing. Yeah.
I will
Thank
then.
you. So if everyone would please rise, and we'll have us make a big circle and have a closing prayer. And thank you for being generous for Dana's in her behalf, and as she is generous, you are generous. Thank you, love streamers, for being with us.
Come on, kids. Come on, guys. It's a circle. Make it Bonnie crazy. Come on down. Every week.
Let's close the circle this way. Kathy, come on this way, hon. All right. All right. Well, we'll just give a closing prayer of gratitude for the tithes, the offerings that were given in Dana's behalf. Thank you. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. And we just join together as one presence, one mind, aware of all these different expressions of what love is in all the many different forms. And we're just so grateful to have these expressions. Dana comes with one of laughter and science and song and just all kinds of different expressions. Thank you for her gifts. And thank you for each one that's here as we join hands in one love, one presence, one power. I am. The I am of I am. This is what we are. And we're so grateful to God, presence, Buddha, nature, divine love, call it what you will. It is love, is our connection with what we are. It's what we know ourselves to be. And we're grateful to love that we know it as our true nature, our divine being. And for this we say, Amen. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Oh, Lisa has something to say.
Well, I just have one announcement to make. Last night, I made a raw carrot cake, which is over there. And I wanted to just say everyone wants to know what's in it, and they all come up to me individually. So I thought I would grab the mic and just tell you all what's in it. There's no flour, no refined sugar, no dairy. There it is. Here it comes, and it has a frosting. It's only medjool dates, carrots, cashews, almonds,
Coconut.
walnuts, coconut, raisins, coconut oil, no vegetable oil. And there's
a little bit of maple syrup.
there's maple syrup. And there's a frosting that you can put your own. It's cashews, coconut oil.
It is the best
Very good.
carrot cake I have ever
Ever. It's so
eaten. It
good.
is amazing.
So anyways, enjoy.
All right. Bye, live streamers. We love you.